Hello and welcome back to Mark Clemens Postcards. I'm Reginald, here to invite you on a life-changing adventure into the fascinating world of vintage postcards. Well, maybe not life-changing, but at least somewhat mildly interesting. Here is your host, the postcard guru, Mark Clemens.
All right, thank you for that introduction, Reginald. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mark Clemens Postcards. Another week has gone past. Time to look at our What Sold video. I hope you have all had a good week. Please excuse that glare in the background. It's going to be a bright, sunshiny day, as Johnny Nash once said. And for those of you who are too young to know what I'm talking about, you can look that up. And perhaps some of you who are as old as me know immediately what I'm referring to. But anyway, we have a lot to look at here as to what sold, so let's get going. You can see here we had total sales for the week of $748.63. That was an improvement from last week. We had 79 items sold and registered an average sale price of $9.48, so that's pretty good. If we go down to the day by day, you'll see here that on Sunday I did $113.31. Monday we fell off a little bit to $65.86. Tuesday was by far the best day of the week. We climbed up to $230.26. Thursday, back a little bit more to reality. Wednesday, $73.24. Thursday, a very similar day, $75.09. Friday, we had $86.81, and then finished the week on Saturday at $104.06. Again, for our grand total of $748.63. So, let's take a look at what made up those numbers. First of all, here we have a Mississippi River steamboat. This is a it's not a white border card because it's postmarked 1911, and the white border period supposedly didn't start until 1915. So this is, I believe, a Detroit publishing card, and they did use a white border. So sometimes it can be a little confusing. It, first glance, looks like a white border, but it might actually be a divided back. A nice example of a steamboat there. That sold for $5.95. Here we have a Thanksgiving card. Now this is heavily embossed. No doubt you've seen these. They almost have a plastic texture to them with very heavy embossing, and they are often airbrushed with these very bright colors. This one is the generally type of cards I don't list, but I thought this one was kind of attractive, especially with the American flag up here. So I did list that card, and I took an offer on that one of $4.50. Just goes to show you never know what might sell. Put it on there. What have you got to lose? Next up, we have the highest railroad bridge in New England. Probably not anymore, but at the time it was. This is in Greenville, New Hampshire. This is an undivided back card. It was postmarked in 1905. That's getting back there as far as the dates go. Don't often see those. And let's see, this card was listed originally for $7.95, and I took an offer of $7. Here is a luggage label or decal. I do sell things other than postcards. Not much, but a few things like trade cards and certain paper items. I happened upon a small lot of these airline luggage labels that I purchased a while back. This one sold for $7.95. Here we have an artist-styled postcard. This is a locomotive moving ore at Moose Lake, Minnesota on the Sioux Line Railroad. It's a really colorful, attractive view there. You see, it is a chrome era postcard and it's unused. It says down here, from the original painting by Ross Porter, so to give the artist his credit. And that card sold for $5.95. Next up, we have a buyer who bought 4 different postcards. The first one was a view at South Fork Dam site. That is the site of the flood that destroyed Johnstown in the late 1800s. That was at a small town called South Fork, which was a recreational area for wealthy people at the time. This card sold for $1. It had some damage there, as you can see on the back, so I only put that up for $1. But they bought that one along with this card. This is the Center Street looking south in Corey, Pennsylvania. That's a chrome card. It was postally used. They also purchased the high school in Oil City, Pennsylvania. That's an older divided back card, postally used. And they purchased a view on Liberty Street in Warren, Pennsylvania, a chrome era card, also postally used. So this buyer purchased a total of 4 cards for a total of $18.85. Here is something also not a postcard. This is a lot of 2 photographs. This is of a flood that happened in 1936 in Hartford, Connecticut. The first picture here, it says the New Hartford Dam. So I don't know, possibly this dam had a hand in that flooding, but here you can see the remains of a dam and some buildings around. And the second photo is in, would be downtown Hartford, I guess. Here's the Hotel Bond. You can see it's flooded up halfway up the door. Here's a parking lot, and it's now a small lake in the picture. So these 2 photos went together, and this buyer purchased them for $7.95. Here we have West Main Street at the corner of Pleasant Street in Norwalk, Ohio. This is a divided back card. It's postally unused. Nice small town view. That sold for $5.95. Then we have a view on Locust Street in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. This is a nice older town view. You can see a trolley coming up the street. And down there a little further, looks like a horse-drawn wagon. Again, a divided back card. It is postally unused. And that was originally listed for $14.95, and I took an offer of $12.95. Next, we have the Vixen. That's this boat here on Lake Canadarago. That is in Richfield Springs, New York. That is an older undivided back card. It was postally used in 1906. You can see it has some writing and some postal markings on the face, but nonetheless, that sold for $5.95. Here we have a buyer who bought a total of 6 different lots This is a lot of 50 random mix cards, U.S. state views, towns, and topics. Could be some greetings in there. It's just a random mix of cards that I take out of my stock. They bought 3 of these, and then they also bought 2 of these lots. This is a lot of 50 random unused Chrome. Now, specify these are all unused cards. They are all Chrome era cards. And again, it's a mix of town views and topical cards. But the buyer purchased 2 of these lots. And then I guess they decided they wanted one more of that first lot. So they went back and purchased another lot of the 50 random mixed cards. These could be used or unused cards, for a total of 6 different lots. And that was approximately, that would be 300 cards. And they spent just south of $120 on those lots. So that was by far my nicest sale of the week as far as dollar volume goes. That was on Wednesday, which was my best day of the week. Next up, we have a trade card. This is a Victorian era trade card. It says Climax, a little hard to read, but if you look here, it says Climax Clothing Company, Marysville, Ohio. In the picture, you can see a woman here combing this little child's hair, and it says up here, an operator in wool. One of the large lots of postcards I bought recently had some really nice trade cards in it, and this was one of them. As I say, I do sell some things other than just postcards, trade cards being one of them, and this one sold for $14.95. Another trade card, and to a different buyer. This is Old Reliable Coffee. It has on the back your birthday horoscope, this one being for December. And on here you see a birthstone, and I'm not sure what that is there. Oh, that's just a picture of the coffee there. And this card sold for, was listed for $14.95. I took an offer of $12.95 on that. So you see, trade cards can do pretty good as well. Back to postcards. Here we have the Middle Fountain Pool at the Cascades at the Sparks Foundation in Jackson, Michigan. This is a linen era card. You can see on the back that it's unused, but pretty nice, bright, clean card here. That one sold for $5.95. Next up, we have a religious themed card. This is the 7th commandment, thou shalt not steal. This is a series done by Raphael Tuck. Here you can see this guy is making off with some stuff. He's got some kind of treasure. If I learn how to use my mouth, you can see he's got a box there and he's trying to conceal it under his robe. So a religious themed postcard. I do sell some of these, not real often, but occasionally I do. This one sold for $5.95. Here we have an artist signed postcard. This is done by Rosie O'Neill. These are the Kewpies that she is so famous for. Here you see them in the wintertime pulling their sled, and they're naked. I would think that they would be cold, but I don't know. Maybe Kewpies have a different, physical makeup than humans. But there they are pulling their sled. They do have mittens. They do have mittens and earmuffs, so I guess they're all right. The rest of it doesn't matter. It's a divided back era card. It's unused. It's very clean shape. Looks like someone once priced that at $19. So that's what that says down there. I didn't notice that before. It looks like a 19. But anyway, there they are. You do have to be careful with these. There's a lot of reproductions of the Kewpies and Rosie O'Neill stuff out there, so you got to look carefully. This is a genuine card done by Gibson, and it sold for $19.95. Here we have another trade card. This is the Weird Plow Company. You can see on the back, chilled and steel plows are the best, by Weird Plow Company in Batavia, New York. And on the front we have a little girl holding a kitten and another cat, which I would assume to be the mother of that kitten. So it's a cute little scene there. That one sold for $7.95. Here we have a view in Jamestown, New York. This is 3rd Street looking west. And you can see it's a pretty busy day there in town. Buses and cars on the street. You can see signage. This is a linen card. It is, it was meant to be postally used. It's addressed and has writing, but I don't see a stamp or a postal cancel. So, but we'll have to go with just saying that it's postally used since it does have this writing on the back. Again, a linen era card. Nice, colorful scene there. And that sold for $5.95. This is a card that I actually got in my recent purchase of the box of Marilyn Monroe cards. If you saw my video on the Marilyn Monroe cards, I bought that box strictly for the Marilyn cards, but there were also some other cards mixed in with that. This was one of them. This is Nancy Sinatra, daughter of Frank Sinatra, and this is promoting her song, These Boots Are Made for Walking, that came out in 1966. I remember that song. It was a big hit, and this card no doubt had something to do with promoting that. And there she is in her little bikini and her boots that were made for walking. And that is a continental size card, more modern, 1966, obviously. And that sold for $4.95. Here we have a scene in Belvedere, New Jersey. This is Front Street looking west. And if we look way down there, I see some wagons, horse-drawn wagons, and what looks to be maybe a bicycle or something down there. But this is a divided back card. It was postally used in 1912. And this card, let's see, it was listed for $9.95. But I sent out an offer myself on this one, and it sold for $7.46. Here's a sports-themed postcard. This is the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum, home of the Oakland A's in Oakland, California. Here you can see there is a baseball game in progress, and some fans standing here waving. This is a Chrome era card. For some reason, I don't have a view of the back. But it was Chrome, I believe, was unused, and that sold for $5.95. Here is a scene aboard an American Airlines Astrojet. Here we have the stewardess serving meals. That might be a politically incorrect term. I really don't care. It's a Chrome era card. It was an airlines issued card. You can see the American Airlines name there on the back. Route of the Astrojets. And that's a Chrome view. I find that these plain interior views do well, just like train interiors do well. If you come across cards with views inside trains or planes where something is going on, whether it be just passengers looking out the windows or somebody serving them something or something going on. I think that, or I find that those do sell pretty well. So that one sold for $5.95. Again, I've probably said it before, but this look at these cards, I'm not obviously showing you every card that sold the past week. That would take too long. But I go through them and try to pick out some of the more interesting cards, as well as to try to give it a variety, just to show you the variety of types of cards that sell. So don't think that as you're looking at cards, well, no one would want this. You never know. Trust me, I've put some cards on that I was sure that would never sell, and they did. So there's so many different collectors out there with so many different interests, looking for so many different things. It's like you can't outthink that. So just try to make it a nice variety, and I feel sure you'll do well. Getting back to the cards here is a military themed card. I think I showed this in my video of a recent purchase that I made. It was one of the cards that I showed you I selected. And this is in El Paso, Texas. It says a big gun of the Battery E 5th Field Artillery in 1916. It's a real photo card. You can see on the back there it has been used and postmarked. It's got a lot of surface wear on the back. It was probably glued into an album at one time. And it's got a lot of wear too. It's got a lot of corner and edge wear and creases on it. It's seen better days, but it's still a very interesting card, and it's a military real photo. It was originally listed for $9.95, and I took an offer of $8 on that. So even in this condition, it was a nice sale. Next, we have the Methodist Church and a little view of the town there in the background in Kemmer, Wyoming. This is a, divided back card. It was postally used in 1920. Even though 1920 we're into the white border era, this is an older card. Maybe somebody still found it on a postcard rack, or maybe they bought it and put it in their drawer and kept it a few years before they mailed it. But the postmark date does not always agree with the postcard era of the card itself. This one I had listed for $34.95, and I took an offer of $29.95 on that one. That was probably my best single card sale of the week. Next up, we have a German submarine, a U-53 at Newport, Rhode Island. This is a white border era card. I think it's safe to say, because it's probably like World War I era. You can see it's postally unused. It's got a heavy crease here along what would be the right edge looking at the face, and it's separated, almost completely separated, and someone had put a piece of tape on here to keep it from getting any worse. But I thought this card was interesting, and the only spot on it that is colored is this little flag here, and I don't know if looks probably like somebody drew that on there. I don't know that was printed on the card, because there's no other color to be seen. And I thought that was an interesting card. I put that up for auction, and it received one bid at $7.95. Again, a card that's not in real great condition, but because of the subject matter, it sold. Moving on. Now here's another card that when I glanced at it and just moved past it, I didn't think it interesting, but when I took a second look at it, it is the interior of the McKinley Monument. Now there's tons of cards of the McKinley Monument, and that's not a big selling topic typically. But this one was a little different than the usual McKinley Monument card. This says the sarcophagus on the interior, and I don't recall having seen one of those before, so thought that was a little bit different, and I guess I was right because it sold for $5.95. A card I would normally have probably brushed past and may not have even listed. Here's an interesting one. This is also a card I found in my recent purchase of a large batch of cards. This is in Jenkins, Kentucky. I had to do a little bit of research to figure this out. But it is a real photo card. On the back you can see it's postmarked from Jenkins, Kentucky. It was sent to Upper Middleton, PA. So it's usually safe to say a card is not the location it was addressed to because it's being sent somewhere, but it often will be the town that it was postmarked from. So going on the guess that it's in Jenkins, I did a little look on the internet as far as maps of Kentucky, and I did find Jenkins, Kentucky is very close to the Virginia border. And if you look over here, somebody had written on this card, drew a little dotted line here up the hill, and it says KY for Kentucky here and VA for Virginia here. So they're telling us that the Kentucky-Virginia border runs right through here. And that does agree geographically with Jenkins, Kentucky. So I went with that. And here you see an old cabin, some people sitting on the porch, and again, a group of people sitting over here, some in Kentucky and some in Virginia. And I did put that card up for auction as well, and it sold for my listing price of $24.95. If you notice, it actually had two bids, but obviously that was from the original bidder, just trying to maybe gave that a second thought and thought to themselves, I better make my bid a little bit higher. But nobody came in to challenge them, so they got that card at the price of $24.95. I think that's a really, really cool card. Next up, we have a view in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. This is Hudson Street looking from Main Street. It is a divided back era card, possibly used in 1912. And this card was listed for $9.95. I took an offer, I want to say, of $7.50 on this one. Okay, here we have another buyer who bought more than one card. This buyer bought 3 cards from Conneaut Lake, Pennsylvania, which is a resort amusement park area. It is still in existence, but I don't know how much of the amusement park is still functional. The first card here was Noah's Ark in Fairyland Forest. That's like a kids area with different exhibits of things that they probably know from storybook stories. This one is of Noah's Ark. The next one here is a Humpty Dumpty sitting on the wall. Here you can see some kids looking at that. I know some of these features used to talk. They'd have somebody behind there and talk to the kids as if he was Humpty Dumpty. And the last one, also in Fairyland Forest, is Mary Had a Little Lamb, a recreation of that. So we had 3 different scenes in Fairyland Forest for a total of $16.85. Conneaut Lake is a real good seller for me. I always pick them up when I find them, assuming I can get them at a reasonable price, because they always sell. Nextly, is that a word? Nextly, we have a scene at Granite City, Illinois. This is the swimming pool at Wilson Park. You can see, must be a hot summer day. Lots of people there at the pool. This is a white border card. It was postally used in 1947. And it is what I call a blue sky card, which generally these cards are black and white, but the sky will be blue on those. And sometimes, let me look and see if it says that. Yep, you see there it was done by Kurt Teek, and up here it says blue sky postcard. That one was listed for $9.95, and again, I took an offer, I believe, of $8 on that. And I think this is our last card for today. This is a view on Main Street in Plattsmouth, Nebraska, a real photo postcard. We take a closer look, you can see a really wide street there with and diagonal parking there, lots of old cars. Must be a busy day in town. You can see lots of cars, lots of signage, lots of storefronts. Looking over here's a theater marquee. The Cass Theater, some people on the sidewalk. So lots going on there in Plattsmouth, Nebraska on Main Street. And that card was postally unused. That stamp box tells me that was this card was made between 1939 and 1950, so that gives you a good idea of the time frame, most likely in the 40s. And that card sold for $19.95. So that was a look at what cards sold this week, and let's move on now to something else.
Reginald here. Unfortunately, Mark dropped the ball, so to speak, on last week's look at his collection. Hopefully this week he has his postcards in a row. I present to you the postcard guru, Mark. Wow, who writes this stuff?
Okay, Reginald, thank you very much. Let's hope we have better luck this time. I was supposed to do this segment of my collection last week, and I had it recorded, but unfortunately, due to a technical issue, I lost the entire thing. So we're going to do it again this week. So we're going to look today at some restaurant cards. I have a pretty large collection of restaurant cards, and I kind of have them divided up like linen cards and older. Chrome cards I have separate, and black and white, and the real photo postcards I have separate. So today I grabbed the chrome binder, and I just took the first 3 pages out of the book, and we're going to see what's in there. So the first card here, as you can see, this is the Trading Post restaurant in Alpena, Michigan. Again, I'm not going to have to mention these are chrome views because they're all chrome views. Here you see the restaurant and some old vehicles lined up outside. Looks like it must be lunchtime or dinner time because they're fairly busy. Next up, we have the Plantation Pancake Inn, and that had 2 locations, one in Naples, Florida, and one in Ocala, Florida. And you can see this is a multi-view card. I think we're probably looking at both locations. I don't know which one's which, but we've got one view of each. So if you're in the mood for pancakes, there's the place to go. Next view, we have Blackie's House of Beef. And this restaurant was in Washington, D.C. You can see the large sign there on the front, some wagon wheels in the window. The next card is of the Dutch House, Gift House, Pennsylvania Dutch Gift House in Charlottesville, PA. This was next door to the famous Roadside America display, which was a very large indoor miniature village. It had railroads, had a train set up, and miniature villages. It was a very large display, very popular, and it closed only a couple years ago. due to just a general kind of lack of interest, I guess. Not enough people interested in that kind of thing anymore. And this Pennsylvania gift house was next door, so I believe it is closed as well. So unfortunate that another roadside attraction has gone the way of the dinosaur, but these things happen, I guess. Here you had a gift house, but you could also eat. They had a lunch counter here, it says, so you could grab a bite to eat and then go back over to Roadside America to look at the display. Next up, we have Santa's Kitchen, an unusual shaped building. It's an A-frame building. Neat sign here with Santa. Let me zoom in a little bit. See Santa's Kitchen there. Nice big neon type sign. Santa's Kitchen was in Santa Claus, California. And I do believe they had more than one location, but this one is in Santa Claus, California, fittingly enough. Next up, we have a cool one. This is the Cafe Eileen in Fillmore, Utah. And you can see the cafe here. Some, again, old cars outside. They're next door to a Rexall drugstore. They also have a nice big neon sign. You don't see, again, neon much anymore. Those were very, very common form of advertising for restaurants and stores of all kind. Don't see them much anymore. LED has kind of replaced them. And most of these signs, or a lot of them anyway, ended up in the hands of collectors like myself. But unfortunately, many of them ended up in landfills. Next up, we have Holman's Restaurant. Holman's was in Miami, Florida. Here you can see, again, lots of old cars lined up. It must be dinner time. And a big signs on the roof, so I see them from coming up the highway from both directions. That's a nice view there. Next up, we have Horn's Sunny Mead Restaurant. This one was in Warsaw, Indiana. And again, we have the old cars out front. Nice neon signage there. Couple signs. Old cars. Love the old cars parked outside. It's just, this is an era I'm old enough to remember, so I'm kind of fond of these kind of cars. Next up, we have Honey's Restaurant in Charlotte, North Carolina. This is, as I said, a chrome card, but it kind of has that look that it probably was originally a linen. It has that kind of a look to it, and then they took that same card and adapted it to a photochrome. But here you see an exterior view of the building and also an interior view. An old car there parked at the side. Next up, we have another multi-view. This is the Magnolia Motel and Restaurant. That was in Hardyville, South Carolina. I personally don't care about the motel part so much, but the restaurant part, obviously. Some old vehicles, old truck parked out there. Next, we have the Chesapeake Seafood House, again in Miami, Florida. A multi-view card. No vehicles parked outside. They must have taken that at picture at a time when they were closed or something. But there you can see the building, a kind of a neat big ship there on the front. Here is the, down here on the left is the Oyster and Clam Bar. And if I move myself a little bit, this is the grotto. That's like a dining room area called the grotto. So I'll just float myself back into position. Next up, we have Hudgens Seafood Restaurant. This was in West Palm Beach, Florida. Again, a triple view card. We have an exterior of the building. Nice old neon sign up here attached to the building with the fish on top. And then we have dining room pictures. Here's tables and chairs over here. Here's tables and chairs, but also a counter that you could sit at. Next up, this is a really neat one. I like this one a lot. This is the Buccaneer Motel and Restaurant, and that was in St. Petersburg, Florida. And what's great about this sign up here is just awesome. I love this big neon sign with the Buccaneer. I guess she's a pirate, a woman pirate. You don't see a lot of women pirates, but there's one on that sign, and that's just a beautiful big neon sign. How could you miss that? And then below, some more neon saying coffee shop open to the public, Foremost Ice Cream, AAA, and of course your old vehicles parked out front. That's the perfect Chrome era restaurant card right there. Next up, let's rotate this one. We have the Lobster House. And again, we have two locations, and I don't know if this is two different locations or two of the same one, but one was located in Santa Barbara, California, the other in Ventura, California. And here you can see out front a chef he's cooking something. It's a little hard to see what he's got there. Lobsters, I guess. He's cooking them outside. They also have a cool neon signage up there to attract your attention. And I think that's kind of cool that they have an outdoor pit there to cook in. And there is a view of their dining room. So nice multi-view card there. Next, we're going to look at Herb Philbrick's store. So this is kind of a store, but based on the signage, they also at least had a counter where you could get something to eat, maybe a sandwich and a drink. Moving in a little closer, we got some seal test ice cream signs on each end there. Moving over here, we have Canada Dry. Some other signage, got some old, somebody in an old vintage auto. There's another one over there. Imagine they brought these in just for this picture. And so that's a neat old place. You could stop along the way to somewhere. Next up, we have the King's Tower in Tama, Iowa. Also have a postcard of if you look over here on the right, you see it says gas, and that's the gas tower in Tama, Iowa. There's a separate postcard for that. There was like a truck stop over there and gas pumps. And over here we have the restaurant. Again, some pretty cool signage. Big neon sign with a giant Indian head with the headdress there. Souvenirs, 100% beef hamburgers, breakfast 24 hours, strong coffee, breakfast being served, and old cars. It's got all the elements that you want to see. No, we already did that one. Sorry. Next up, we have Morrison's Imperial House Restaurant in Daytona Beach, Florida. I'll move in just a little bit. Nice big sign there to catch your eye as you're going down the road. Lots of old cars in the parking lot. I see I'm a Chevy fan myself. I see a 58 Chevy here parked over here and a 57 over here on the end. So that's kind of cool. I used to own a 57 Chevy. I sadly don't have it anymore. But boy, I wish I did. So that's a neat one. Next up, we have Isbell's Restaurant in Chicago. Isbell's is famous for their chicken feast, and that's what you're looking at here. We're not seeing the building, the restaurant itself, but there's some of the food they serve, and that's enough to stir your interest. If you're hungry, that looks pretty good to me. Next up, we have the Townhouse, Chuck Priest Townhouse Restaurant in Angola, Indiana. Another triple view card. Here we have the restaurant itself up here with the automobiles. Here we have a dining room with tables and chairs, of course, and here we have a counter area over here, so something for everybody there. Here is the Jim McCorvey's Old South Barbecue Ranch. That was in, looks like Lewiston area, Lewiston, Florida. It's a little hard to see the building for all the trees, and there's wagon wheels and a fence here, but you can get a peek at some cars parked here and part of the building. Again, a big old sign over here advertising the ranch. Next up, we have Castellano's. Castellano's restaurant in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. So that's a kind of a cool view there. Here we see, again, that neon sign. And at night, I'm sure you couldn't miss it. I'm sure that was beautiful lit up. And we have the old cars. This looks like an old Cadillac here. And while we're looking at Castellano's, here is another view, same restaurant, a little different view, taken at maybe different time, different angle. You get a little bit closer view of that neon sign here out front, and an old car parked there. So a couple different views, same place, different views. That's not unusual either. I have a lot of cards like that with different views, different time periods of the same place. Next is the Shady Rest restaurant. That's was in Chrisman, Illinois. Maybe still is, I don't know. Neat signage there, and we have a giant ice cream cone up on the roof there. I can see that is no doubt neon. I cannot tell about this other sign. But down the way here, we have another sign, looks like a neon sign with some of those running lights that run in a series and kind of draw your attention in. Here it says cooler inside, air conditioned. So if on a hot day you want to get inside and cool off, have some ice cream, have a steak, whatever, I'm sure they can take care of you. And let's see, lastly for today, that was fast. That one, we just went through 24 cards pretty quickly. Here is the Lobster House, Captain Frank's Seafood House on Cleveland's 9th Street Pier. So this is in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm assuming this pier is into Lake Erie. What it looks like it could possibly be. That's a large pier with a restaurant out in the middle of it. Lots of parking there. And you can see, the older cars. I'll zoom in just a little bit. And it looks like Captain Frank has a nice sign above the door there. It's important. You know, when you got a business, you want people to see it. You want them to come in. So you got to tell them what you're doing and grab their attention. So these signs that we've looked at certainly do that job. So that's the last card I have for you today as far as restaurants go. We will be taking a look at more restaurants in the future. Well, that's all I have for you today. I thank you very much for watching. Please give me a like if you've enjoyed this video. That helps a lot. And please give me a comment. Anything you want to say, I don't care. Let me know, good or bad. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what maybe something else you'd like to see me do. I'd be happy to entertain that. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do that as well. That helps this channel to grow, and then more people can find it and more people can see it. And that's a good thing. And as always, I thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and we will see you next time.